So today I'm bringing you guys a video on how to get Triple Perk Adepts from Crota's End, and how easily you can do this with just 2 people, getting an Adept every 5 minutes. So you do this by going into Crota's End on Master and completing the first Abyss encounter. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this in just a second, but before I show you how to do it, I want to explain to you guys what to use and how this works. So for those of you who don't know this encounter or how the challenge works at all, the challenge is quite simple. The challenge means that only the lanterns with preservation nodes can be enlightened, and only after the chalice has been preserved. This means that if you enlighten a lantern before depositing a chalice, you will fail the challenge, even if the lantern has a node. Now for those of you that have no idea what that just meant, I will quickly explain how the encounter works. So the way the chalice works is a bar is going to gradually fill up. Once this bar is full, you will have 10 seconds to either preserve the chalice or have somebody take it from you. If they don't, you will die. So you need to make sure that somebody takes this from you or you preserve. Now if somebody takes the chalice from you, you will get a buff called Enlightened, and that will allow you to activate a lamp. Now the way that I am showing you guys is going to be not activating any lamps, so you're going to avoid getting Enlightened. This means you have to be quick enough to a point where you get to the next preserve before you get the bar full, or at least before your timer runs out and you are wiped. So for those of you that already knew the encounter, I'll quickly explain how you get the Adepts and how that works. So the way the Crota's End weapons work in Master, it's a knockout system. So this means out of all the 6 weapons, you will get 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 until you've unlocked them all. So say you start off and you get the LMG, you then can only get the next 5, and so on until you have all 6. Once you have all 6, it is then completely random as to which weapon drops. Now you can get all 6 Adepts just from this encounter. That is what I have done. I did do all the challenges a long time ago, but recently I just find it easiest to farm this first encounter and get as many Adepts as I want or need. So let's go over the loadouts and what you guys are going to want to be able to do this as quick as possible. Now keep in mind, I'm just showing you guys the easiest way I found to do it as a 2-man. You can definitely do this as a 6-man, which would make it way easier, but for me personally, I just do it as a 2-man to get this done quickly. So as I was saying, moving on to our loadouts, this is the thing that I find best to use as a Titan. Now you don't need this, like I say, it's just the way of doing it the fastest. I will say no matter what, you're going to want an Eager Edge sword. This is pretty much a must-have if you want to be doing it within a quick time. But the second best thing that you need is Strand. Strand alongside the grapple grenade is just unbelievable for this. Whether you're a Hunter, Titan or Warlock, this is just going to make it so easy. So if you're on Strand and you have a way of generating tangles, whenever you grapple your tangle, it will completely refund your grapple, meaning it is returned to you. Same with if you have a Hunter using the aspect. When they use their grenade charge, this will leave a Strand grapple point for you, where when you attach to it, it will be refunded. Now the next thing I'm using that helps is the Navigator. So this is a trace rifle which with the catalyst allows you to create a grapple tangle point where you can then grapple to and refund it yet again. So you guys can see here we've got insane mobility here, and it just helps out massively having these movement tools. The last thing I use on Titan is Armamentarium. This just allows for a second grenade charge, so if I do accidentally miss a grapple point or do end up consuming a grenade charge, I have that second backup one, which allows me to continue. Now, as for Hunters, you guys, of course, have the aspect where you're given an additional charge, and you can do this very simply. This is what my teammate does alongside me. He rocks Hunter. He uses his super, which allows us to get through areas quick when he's struggling, or when I am behind for a timer. He also uses a Demolitionist and Attrition Orb, Burst Denial Grenade Launcher. This allows him to get so much grenade energy alongside his Strand Fragment. So he uses the Thread of Generation, which means when he deals damage, it generates him grenade energy. This, alongside all the other things he has, really loops into his grenade charge, allowing him to have so much uptime for it. Now moving on to Warlocks, you have a whole aspect for this, where when you throw your tangles, it suspends targets. If you use this, your tangle throws completely differently, and it will allow you to move with no fall off on your tangle and fly across the map. So what you want to prioritize here is having your grenade up as much as possible. So anything that goes into that is going to be perfect. Now I think I've waffled enough about the loadout. Let's get straight into what we need to do. So let's jump straight into it. So straight away I'm going to pick up the chalice as I need to bring it with me. I'm going to preserve in the first point. I'm then going to either look for a grapple point or a tangle so that I can refund the grapple and move quickly. So here I am checking the first spot. I can see it's not there, so I continue past. Moving on to the second point it can spawn. I see it is not here as well. I now know it is the last point it can be. I called this out to my teammate, as you can see. He misses out the second and goes straight to the third because of this. And now he can preserve here and allow me to pick up whenever I'm ready. Keep in mind, the reason we delay here is because of our timers. This timer at the top saying engulfed in darkness, when that hits 0, you will wipe. And the drained of light timer means you cannot pick up the chalice. Now we're going to eventually pick up and move on. And as you can see, we're just going to keep grappling and refunding left, right and centre. So we're moving up and we see it is not here. We're then yet again going to generate a tangle and attach to that and keep moving. So as you guys can see, I've not actually used a grenade charge yet, even though we're halfway through. So I preserve as I get here for my teammate, and he's going to wait until his timer allows him to, and then he will pick up, and we will continue moving. So we're going to keep moving on and looking and checking every point. And eventually I found that it is at this point here. Again, I've called this out to my teammate. He's going to preserve when my time is ready. And we're going to continue moving through. In times like this, just play safe. Sit in safe areas and make sure the thrall aren't killing you. Now later on I am going to show you guys how to despawn the ads, but this way I prefer doing where I have the ads so I can generate these tangles and move through quickly. But as you can see, things will happen, there are potential deaths, and I showed you this guys just so that I could show you even with a flaw, you can still do this in 5 minutes, and it is still easily doable if you have a death. So I preserved so that I could get straight to him. And now I know he's not going to have a timer to pick up chalice. So he can get straight up there and pick up straight away. In a weird way, this kind of helped because we didn't have to wait 30-40 seconds for his timer. Him being able to pick up straight away means that my timer is now lowered as well. So when he is ready to be enlightened for this final plate, I will already be ready to pick up. Now as we get to the end, we do swap loadouts so that we can deal with ad control and just survive on the plate a bit better. I swap to a full suspend build and just banner of war so we can live. And then as you can see, I'm going to pick up the chalice from him and preserve it. Now it just comes down to purely surviving on this plate until the end. And then we can run through and get our loot. I'm just going to let this play out for you guys, so just enjoy this. Now real quick, I forgot to mention that you do have barriers and unstops here. So keep in mind, you do want to have them on your hot swap loadouts. So as you can see, I have the unstop glaive and I have the anti-barrier sidearm. I also have unraveling rounds, which is giving me anti-barrier on my GL. So now as you can see, the plate is fully done. I'm going to run through to the end, we're going to get our loot, and that is it. Simple as that. Even with a flawed run like this, still only took 5 minutes. So it shows how easy this is to do, even as a 2-man. Now I understand not everybody is going to be able to do this as a 2-man, but this is a raid. You can have 6 people, and this is very easy to do with 6 people. Even if the majority of you cannot move like this, having at least 3 that can do this, or at least 2, This is doable. Now if you're struggling for survivability, I just recommend melee resists. And if you really struggle with the ads, you can despawn them. So I will show you guys how to do that in just a second. So now playing in the background is another clip where I'm going to show you guys how to despawn the ads. I'm going to begin doing what I did originally, which is picking up the chalice and preserving. The reason I have to do this is so that my teammate can pick it up and move on to the next point, while I get in the position to despawn the ads. I'm going to backtrack to this back left corner by spawn. I'm going to set up a grapple point and I'm going to go up there. So what you want to do to despawn the ads is head straight up to the top final plate. When you are up here, you will be able to despawn the ads, but there's one more requirement. In order to despawn the ads, your teammate has to get to a certain point. Now, I'm not going to show you where this point is, purely because you will be able to know when you were up top. So as you guys can see, I'm going to sit up here and wait, because you're going to see the exact point when they despawn, and you will know. So Knight's moving here up the hill, and as you can see, as he hits this lantern, the thralls spawn on me. This means they are now despawned down the bottom bit, and there will be no further spawns. So I'm now going to have to rush back and backtrack to the chalice. So this is definitely harder in terms of getting there and having enough time to do this. Like as you can see, I only have 30 seconds now to get to the point. So you have to be absolutely crazy with your movement. And now you can see I'm out of grapples, so I actually popped my super to get here. But that is how you despawn the ads if you do wish to do that. I actually find it harder despawning the ads purely because you don't have anywhere to generate your tangles and refund your grapples. Now I did just want to quickly explain a couple of things that I forgot to mention. So as you get to the end of the encounter when you're running over, it will actually end before you go through the portal. If it does, you want to turn around at that point and backtrack because your loot is going to be on the bridge behind you. So when you finish this encounter, you're actually going to have to backtrack to get your loot. Another thing I wanted to go over is talking about how the triple column perks work. So no matter what, you have a chance of getting triple column perks. That's just how it works. But if you go into your triumphs and you go into legends and then Crota's End, you will see there's a triumph that is all about patterns. And it states each pattern acquired will increase the chance of additional weapon traits appearing on Crota's End weapons. So depending on how many patterns you have, for those of you that have already crafted them all and then decided to ignore the raid, you can come back and get Triple Column Perk Adepts guaranteed, if you have all 6 patterns. I've done this many times, I'd say somewhere around 50 times, and I've had Triple Column Perks every time. So unless I have insane luck, which I can assure you I don't in this game, this is guaranteed once you have all 6 patterns. But I think that about covers it for the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video or it helped you out at all, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I just want to say a big thank you to all the subscribers lately as well. Thank you very much for the support, it is very much appreciated.